Hey guys, today I wanted to talk about a topic that I've been putting off. I've had it on my list of videos to make for a while, and I've wanted to talk about it for a while, but I just have been putting it off because somewhere deep down I didn't want to make the video either. So today I'm going to talk about why I'm creating a video game about grief, loss, and dementia. And it's a personal story, of course. So, one of the things that always irks me about a lot of media surrounding dementia in particular and Alzheimer's is how it's always portrayed in somewhat of a romanticized kind of generic way where it's, the sad loss of someone forgetting their loved one's name for the last time, or it's someone forgetting something like how to put on a shirt or something small. But I think it doesn't show the much more awful side to dementia that loved ones and the person actually going through it actually experience every day. It's worth noting as well that most forms of media try to express Alzheimer's, and they always tend to show older people experiencing Alzheimer's, which isn't always the case. Um, so my dad has frontotemporal dementia, which is a type of dementia that is frequently early onset. So he's only 61 now, but he is already in the incredibly advanced stages. He's not verbal. He has no recognition of anyone, and he's pretty badly behaved as well. He tries to grab onto people's arms, and he's obsessed with food. He lives in a home now, but he was living at home until early last year, so early 2021. He was still living with us at home, and he was still very advanced then as well. And a lot of the everyday life of living with that was, I won't go into the more horrific details, but things like he would try to leave the house and go and steal people's cars, basically, not intentionally. He thought it was his car. He was looking for his car from like 20 years ago, but he would just try random car doors to see if any of them opened, and we would have to follow him out every time he left the house, because he would try to sneak out past us all, and we would have to follow him out and try to convince him to come home. And he often wasn't terribly happy about this. He was sure he was in the right. He never actually knew he had dementia, so why would he think anything otherwise? He wouldn't wash, so even his hands. Um, and obviously, it's not a very nice, pleasant thing when someone in the house won't wash or change their clothes for months and months and months. And towards the end, it was very bad like that. When it got to the point where we literally had to ring an ambulance on him to get him into the hospital system because he wasn't diagnosed and we couldn't get anyone to listen. For a long time before we realized it was dementia, we actually thought he was a bit of an alcoholic because he has a form of dementia of the frontotemporal, that where he also has hyperorality, it's called, which is basically where he is obsessed with eating and drinking. So that kind of manifested itself in the form of an obsession with alcohol. And I remember one time crying to him, asking him why wouldn't he stop drinking, why he was down the pub every night, like why he wouldn't stop for the rest of us and stuff, because he was spending less and less time with family. And I remember him just kind of laughing and saying that, oh, Leanne's drunk because she's crying at me for this. And it's easy to realize now that that wasn't a lack of empathy, it was the disease. But it was really hurtful to have him like that for a long time. And it was like that for a very long time where we didn't realize what was going on, but we knew something was wrong. It wasn't an everyday thing where every day was bad through the disease. Sometimes he would have good times where he would be happy and talkative and dance. And we had to celebrate those moments, and we all gathered around for those moments because they're important. Um, but some days he would be really agitated and you would realize that there was something wrong. I remember there was a day where we weren't letting him out to drive his car because he wasn't able to drive his car. Eventually, we had to get rid of the car so he wouldn't try to. And he just kept asking why are we doing this to him, because he didn't understand that we weren't doing anything to him. He thought that it was us, but in truth, it was just that he had a disease that none of us knew about. Well, we knew about it at the time, but it wasn't formally diagnosed. We just kind of got told by a doctor that it probably was that by that point, but couldn't get in contact with a hospital. There was a time where I tried to stop him driving when he actually physically got into the car, and I was really worried about him driving. So he said he wanted to listen to music, but the car battery was dead because we intentionally drained the car battery so that he wouldn't be able to drive. But the problem was he could still roll the car out of the driveway if he wanted to. So, and he was annoyed that he couldn't play CDs in his car because that was something he always used to love doing. So I basically brought my phone out and I was playing music in the car for him. And he would dance like this, just with his hands all funky, and I'd dance back. And it's funny how you have to take moments like that where they're bad moments, they're stressful moments, and you have to turn them into good ones. And living with someone with dementia the whole time feels like that pressure of trying to turn bad moments into good ones when there's no clear black and white on how to do that. He was only diagnosed early last year, and basically he's been in a home since. But before that time, I was having a lot of dreams. Basically, dreams where he was normal again, um, where he'd be going around the house like normal, or we'd be listening to music in the car or something. And I remember there was one dream in particular that I had where if I drove a ship just right, I would be able to save him, which sounds ridiculous. But I think when you're going through grief and you know someone isn't savable, you have dreams and deep desires of wanting to save them. So that was where my mind, my subconscious went. And when I woke up from that dream, I just had a feeling like I had to make something of it. And I knew I wanted that thing to be a video game. I don't know why. I felt like it had to be a video game. It just felt like a video game was the right format for that for me. At the time, I was in a big nostalgia buzz. I was playing a lot of JRPGs and I was basically reminiscing of playing like the Final Fantasy Tactics series. And I just had the thought that like I want to make a game that gives these feelings, but expresses dementia in a realistic way and the grief and the loss of having a loved one with dementia, because it's a very unique feeling and I think it's not been expressed in a lot of media very well. And I have to say, it's the first project that I've made that I've been able to stay so consistent to and that has never stopped feeling important to me. Um, I just know that even when I finish this, um, even if just one or two people feel like it means something to them, I know that there'll be value in that for me, because I think it's really hard to go through something like loss in general, but especially kind of the abstract loss, dementia. And I just knew that I wanted to help people as well who are going through something like that, or people who've just experienced loss in general. And in general, I just wanted to raise awareness of dementia and the different forms it comes in, and what it's like to live and exist with that, but also what it's like to go through the grief process in your head with that too. So since then, I've been working really hard on creating this video game, and I hope that someday it ends up being the tribute to my dad that I've wanted it to be. And I hope that I can look back and say I'm really happy and proud of it. I know that this was a bit of an intense video compared to my usual light topics of talking about game development and the like, but I just wanted to talk about why I'm making the game I'm making and just kind of put this out there and see does anyone else resonate with it, or also just in general, again, to raise awareness of what it's like to live with someone with dementia. So thank you for watching. Um, your support is very valued, and I hope to see you again.